the grand timeline because I want to take you back. It's been more than 6 months, and you might have forgotten what it was like working through those first couple. And I think they're counting on you having forgotten it. When you bring in a criminal who allegedly had confessed to his family, the very first thing you're going to do is Mirandize him on the record. And I think all of it builds a story of patent, blatant dishonesty by law enforcement. They're lying to your face, and they know it. We had a listener, a viewer, still in my old radio mindset. Everybody's a listener. We had a viewer who put us on to something, and we were able to flesh it out, find all the citations, really develop the timeline, and come to an understanding that I think they've been lying to us from day one. Obviously, if they took him out in a way that we didn't, if it wasn't Tyler Robinson, they've been lying to us from day one. But I think the lie is even more sinister because today I want to drill down on the 33-hour lie. And I'm going to say lie pretty confidently. It's still my opinion. It's still allegedly, but it's a confidently educated opinion. 33-hour lie. And why would they do such a lie? What is it about the 33 hours would they put that in there? Well, it's part of the frame-up job, ladies and gentlemen. It's part of framing him as a patsy, and we're going to get into it. What we're going to cover tonight is dense. I hope you have your thinking caps on. Not your tinfoil hats, not your war hats. Put those away. Your thinking caps. I hope you have your thinking caps on because what we're going to cover today is a blow-by-blow, very detailed timeline. And it's going to take, and I'll go back and forth. I'm not going to leave you high and dry. You're not going to get lost, but you're going to have to pay a little bit of attention. Here's how it came together. We all instinctively knew on the night of September 10th, after Charlie Kirk had been taken down and there was nobody found, we all instinctively knew eventually they'll figure out who did this, right? They'll find somebody. But if you go back in time and think about it, it was a long period of time. We were really sitting around. There was a lot of standing around, looking at things, tons of information flowing in, all kinds of people having different tips. There was a lot of good information, a lot of really bad information. And then the following day, we woke up and thought, man, they still hadn't found anybody? That's weird. This guy may have gotten away with it. I mean, I hate to sound morbid, not to borrow a line from Erica Kirk, not to be morbid, but I mean, you wake up the next day and you're like, they still didn't find the guy? They had an all-night manhunt and he's nowhere to be found? And there was a whole nother day that took place. A whole day went by. All of September 10th, into the morning of September 11th, everybody wakes up and is like, seriously, they didn't catch anybody? Then all of September 11th takes place. And we have no feedback. During September 11th, we get FBI press conferences. We get the sheriff weighing in. We've got, for some reason, Kash Patel wandering around looking lost or looking multiple directions at once. Lot going on September 11th, but we didn't hear any news of an arrest. And it's not until we wake up the next day, the morning of September 12th, here on the God's time zone, Central time zone, Central Daylight time zone. We all wake up and there's no news yet. It's kind of that, oh man, they really gotten away with it. And then about an hour later, we hear, hey, they're organizing a press conference. We think they caught the guy. Oh, okay. And I think it was like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, Central time. They hold a press conference and that's where Governor Cox announces, we got him. Woo! Finally. Who is it? I can't wait to find out. Well, we'd gotten a few clues, right? Because they had pictures they'd released and all this other kind of stuff. But I'm just trying to set up sort of the grand timeline because I want to take you back. It's been more than 6 months, and you might have forgotten what it was like working through those first couple. And I think they're counting on you having forgotten it. They've hidden information that that leaked out that they didn't release. We have some of that. They've changed stories and lied to us about some of the things that took place in that first 33 hours, give or take. There have been lies, changed information. We're going to cover that. And then there have been things that were hinted at, but were never really shown. And I think all of it builds a story. And this is why I want to cover it. This is why it's important. All of it builds a story of patent, blatant dishonesty by law enforcement. They're lying to your face and they know it. And the key is you don't know it. Most of you don't know it. I didn't even really realize it. I had a gut instinct, but no one had ever just painted it in a picture. No one had ever laid it out on a timeline and said, hey, bud, look, they're lying to your face. Every time they say 33 hours, they're lying. It's not necessarily an encoded, message to some secret society. Maybe it is, but it's not necessarily. It doesn't have to be. It might just be that they're covering up the frame job. It might be as simple as that. In order to cover up the frame job, they had to stretch out the timeline a little bit. And I'm going to prove that. I'm going to show you tonight why I believe that. because I think I'm right, because we are going to show, I'm 99.5% they're lying to you. 99.5% sure they're lying to you. I leave open a small possibility that one of these facts is wrong, and it would have to be wrong. So that's the first thing. I'm pretty sure they're lying to you. But the second thing is why they're lying to you is to frame Tyler Robinson, because everybody keeps coming to us. They say, you got to prove it wasn't Tyler Robinson. Well, it's hard for me to prove somebody didn't take a shot. I mean, if you're claiming a gunshot took place and you're not giving me any evidence from which to refute it, you're not letting me see the autopsy photos, you're not letting me see the medical examiner's report, you're not letting me examine the body. It's hard for me to prove it wasn't a gunshot. I can have all my theories about microphones and necklaces. I can have all my theories about different angles that a shot might have come from. But if you're not going to let me examine any of the facts, how am I going to prove he didn't take the shot? That's ludicrous. No courtroom would require that. The courtroom doesn't require you to prove anything as the defendant. But I can prove they're lying about this. I'm pretty confident they're lying about this stuff. So where I want to open up, this is a legal filing that was released here recently. It is, I don't know the date on it. What date is it? March 30th, I think. Let me blow it up a little bit so we can all look together. All right. This is your legal filing that starts us down the rabbit trail that I think demonstrates they lied right to your face. This is the motion to exclude still photographers, TV cameras, and microphones from the courtroom. Evidentiary hearing requested. You will notice this is a long document. The conclusion is on page 181. Ladies and gentlemen, there are entire religions based on scriptures that are not 181 pages long. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. There are people who believe in gods or some sort, and their scriptures are not 181 pages long. This is a long document, very detailed. You'll look here, look at all the different sections, capital letters. Oh, goodness. When you see capital letters, you're cooked. You're just absolutely cooked. Look at all these different authorities. Look at all these. We got a Victoria's Secret catalog appearance. You know, we got to turn to page 81 at some point. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. But you've got all these different citations. This is a long, detailed defense-produced document. Tyler Robinson's team produced this document. So we're going to slide all the way down, ladies and gentlemen, to page 78. And we're going to pick up, I think we're going to slide to page 78. Oh, yeah. Page 78. In short, this document's entire purpose is to say, we the defense, Tyler Robinson, want to keep cameras out of the courtroom. Now, I will admit, let me pull this down for a second. I got to look you in the eye because I want you to see. I got to admit, I was concerned when I saw that. When I saw the defense was taking this position, this was several weeks ago, I was a little concerned. I thought, are they trying to bury the guy? They're trying to hide it? They're in on it? I'm not so sure anymore. You should read this document. It's fairly compelling. And what it paints is a picture of a criminal defendant, an accused criminal defendant who has a presumption of innocence, whose guilt and suggested punishment of death has been proposed by the president of the United States, the vice president of the United States, the governor of the state of Utah, the sheriff of the county in which he will be tried, the sheriff of his home county. This is not an ordinary case. This doesn't usually happen. If you want to know what effort goes into framing a patsy, you should read this document. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how much effort has gone into framing this guy. It quotes the TPUSA people. It quotes all kinds of people. What other case have that many high-profile figures weighed in and said, he's guilty, he did it, and he should die? Very few cases. So I want to just paint where we are now. That's what's happening. What they're saying is we want to close the courtroom because every time any news breaks in this case, the president, the vice president, the governor, all the former co-employees, Erica Kirk, everybody runs out there and says, oh, look, here's a piece of evidence. He's guilty. He should fry. We should shoot him. It's unbelievable. You should read this document. Until I read it, I thought, man, you're right. This is kind of compelling. Maybe if I was the judge, I would close the courtroom. I don't know. I don't want to close, but that's for my own selfish motives because I want to cover the case. It would be difficult to cover the case if the courtroom's closed. We wouldn't be able to watch it. We wouldn't be able to get video clips. We wouldn't be able to evaluate the way witnesses looked. We wouldn't be able to evaluate their demeanor. All the things the jury is allowed to evaluate. By the jury is allowed to evaluate demeanor, whether or not someone looks credible. Those are all on the table, and you can't evaluate any of that if the courtroom's closed. You might not even know what evidence is being introduced or what was said about it. Depends on what reporters make it in and what they tell you. And so from a selfish perspective, I want to watch the trial. I've invested a lot of time. You have invested a lot of time watching, preparing, reading court cases, reading documents, looking over evidence. I've spent 100 hours looking at stupid maps of Utah, looking at what the hell's in Panguitch, Utah. I mean, I spent a day looking over every square inch of Panguitch, Utah. Something popped out of this motion that is jaw-dropping. Something popped up, and I think they put the timestamps on purpose because the timestamps were irrelevant. I think they put the timestamps on purpose so that it would pop up on us. This is a statement from the Seventh Circuit talking about whether or not to close a trial. Disclosures concerning such matters are fraught with almost incurable prejudice. They could infringe on a defendant's Fifth Amendment privilege. In view of the natural tendency to draw adverse inference from the assertion of privilege and the careful attempts to avoid comment about such choice during trial, it seems the court can at least require that the attorneys who publicly discuss such matters must prove that their comment was not the type that poses a serious and imminent threat of interference with a fair trial. Here's what the point they're making. So many people made public pronouncements, including witnesses in this case. So many people made public pronouncements that Tyler Robinson was not cooperating, that he was not answering questions, that he was whatever. So many people made public comments on this that they're saying it's impossible to give a fair trial. And if you let cameras in the courtroom and he takes the fifth, every headline's going to read Tyler Robinson refuses to testify. And I agree with him. I think it would be devastating. I've tried cases. I've tried high-profile cases. I tried a case with a guy who was accused of assaulting like 300 people. It made national news. It was a huge deal. Here's what they're saying is, at some point in the trial, the prosecution's either going to call Tyler or there's going to be I don't know how they do it in Utah. There's going to be some sort of a hearing where Tyler has to state on the record, outside the presence of the jury, by the way. This happens outside the presence of the jury. But he's going to have to state on the record that he understands he has a constitutional right to defend himself, a constitutional right to speak, and a constitutional right to not speak. He can weigh in on the case. He can say that he wants to testify, or he can weigh in on the case and say he doesn't want to testify. And afterwards, if he says he doesn't want to testify, oftentimes, most states require that there's some sort of a soliloquy. And that soliloquy is between the judge directly with the defendant, and they ask, you understand what you're giving up here. You will never get another bite at the apple. This is your only chance to testify at trial. And if you pass, you can't later say you want to now you want to testify. It's over. You can't testify on appeal. It's over. You will never be able to speak about your guilt or innocence. Do you understand what you're giving up? Yes. Are you voluntarily giving it up? Yes. You know what voluntary means. No one's giving you any duress. Yes. No one's got a gun against your head. No one's promised you anything. No. They've not promised you your case will go better if you don't. No. They go through and they make sure it's knowing and voluntary. And after that, they accept it. I think the Tyler's defense lawyer's point is, if that sort of thing happened in front of the camera, they would fry him with it. He must be guilty. He's keeping his mouth shut. He doesn't want to testify. Here's where it gets interesting. We scroll to the next page. The state will not be able to produce such proof in this case. And then they reference a bait stamp document at page 20, indicates that on the evening of his arrest, we now know he was arrested on September 11th. He was arrested on September 11th, the day after the shooting. Now, we didn't find out about it until 7 a.m. the next morning, 8 a.m. depending on where you live. Maybe as late as 9 a.m. if you're on the East Coast. We didn't find out about it until the next morning, but there was stuff happening behind the scenes. On the evening of his arrest, Tyler Robinson declined to be interviewed without having an attorney present. He did not say, so there's a couple of points here. Point one, Tyler Robinson did not say, I am not going to cooperate. He did not say, I'm not going to cooperate. And I'm going to read you the transcript in a second. They have a transcript of this encounter. He never said, I'm never going to speak to you guys. Instead, he said, I don't want to speak without a lawyer. And that's a key distinction. One is, I will never talk to you, you dirty SOBs. The other is, I really want to seek my constitutional right to have counsel advise me on what I should and shouldn't say. Now, we all know they took that and said, Tyler's not cooperating. Tyler's not speaking. It made him look intransigent. It made him look like he's dug in. It made it look like this is a hardened criminal who's out there, firing high-powered rifle rounds at American treasures, national political figures, high-profile assassination, and then running off and sulking. You can't get the truth out of me, copper. That's how it was presented. But I want you to read what happened. And more importantly, I want you to read when it happened. This is very important. Very, very important. What happened and when it happened. So let's look at the what first. This is the police officer talking. So Tyler, before we begin, I'm just going to read you your rights. Okay. You have the right to remain silent. If you've ever watched a cop show based in America, you've seen this. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer before we ask you any questions. You have the right to have a lawyer with you during your questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before any questioning begins. And if you decide to answer questions now, you can stop at any time. Okay. So are you good? Are you good to proceed? I'd love to talk to you. Here's what he says. I'd like to speak with my legal counsel. I'm hoping for a fellow in Utah named Doug Terry. Okay. Told he's pretty good attorney here, but I think my folks are trying to get a hold of him, but I think his office is closed for the night. Closed for the night. Okay. But until I've had the opportunity to speak with someone, I'd like to remain silent. Now, let's just talk about the what first. Does this sound like the way it was reported? Is this consistent with what everyone reported, which is he's not cooperating? He's dug in. He's remaining silent. No, not at all. And that's the part the defense team chose to key in on. The content, the what. I'm going to get to the when in a second. But the what. He chose to decline for the time being to say anything until he's had an opportunity to talk to a lawyer. He even named a particular lawyer, a guy named Doug Terry. We'll look at him in a second. He was right. He's a pretty good lawyer. That's who he wanted to talk to, and his parents were trying to get a hold of him. His office was closed for the night. I think that's a key fact. His office was closed for the night. It lets us know what day this took place, but I'll get to that in a second too. We already know what day it took place. It took place on September 11th. I can almost guarantee you. Now let's look at the when, because the when is going to play a huge component in tonight's show. This exchange started at 6:25 p.m. There's no reason in the world the defense would have put the time in this document if they didn't want us to see it. This was a message to people like this show, Candace Owens and others who are looking into this matter saying, I don't think Tyler Robinson did it. That timestamp right there is a loud clarion signal to us, to you, the audience. They know that they can and can't say certain things publicly. The defense can't come out and say, you realize he was Mirandized at 6:25 p.m. on the 11th. You know what that does to the timeline, right? They can't say that. One, it would be unbecoming of them. But two, it goes right to the heart of defense lawyers shouldn't be trying the case in the public. And there's potential ethical implications with that. But they can put anything they want that they feel like is relevant for the judge to help make a decision into the pleading. I don't know why the time matters for them. Whether he said this is totally plenty. All you need to know is for the purpose we're trying to make, all he said was he wanted to talk to a lawyer first. We even have the bait stamp time, right? Because there's a transcript here and it has the time on the video. So on the video, it's the 3 minute and 36 second mark. If you're just trying to identify where it is, that's plenty. You don't need anything else. But they didn't choose to just include the text. They didn't choose to just tell the judge if he wanted to double check the words where to go look. They chose to put the time of day. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, the defense is watching, and I'm glad they are. This was a key inclusion in this document. This inclusion in this document was a signal to shows like this. They're lying about Tyler Robinson. And I want to tell the defense, we hear you. And I want to tell the prosecution, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I want to tell the FBI and the governor, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I want to tell all the Fed slop eaters over there just mowing down on Fed slop, you should be ashamed of yourselves. You should reevaluate your position based on that timestamp alone. And tonight's show's going to prove it. Tonight's show's going to prove it because I want to do a little math. Guys. He was Mirandized at 6:25 p.m. I guarantee you that was the night of the 11th. Why? Because why would they wait to hire a lawyer until the evening of the following day? They announced at 7 a.m. that he had been captured. He turned himself in the night before. You're going to turn your son in on a potential capital case, but you're going to wait 24 hours for some reason to call a lawyer after business hours the next day? Guys, he was shot on a Wednesday. That means September 11th, or he was taken down on a Wednesday. I don't want to say shot. He was taken down on Wednesday. That means September 11th was a Thursday. You're trying to hire a lawyer for your son to save his life, to keep him from being executed by the state of Utah. You are not going to wait until Friday night to pick up the phone and start calling a lawyer and say, well, I guess they're closed for the night. And he didn't say closed for the weekend. He said closed for the night. I'm telling you right now, this 6:25 is September 11th. And I dare someone to say otherwise. I dare someone to say otherwise.